This podcast contains content generated or significantly edited using artificial intelligence tools. All information is provided for general informational purposes only and reflects knowledge available at the time of publication. It does not constitute financial, investment, or legal advice. We recommend that listeners verify the information independently and consult with qualified professionals for personalized advice. Welcome to the Legal Tech Mastery Show, Claude Opus 4 versus Gemini 2.5 Pro.
And today, we're diving into something pretty significant, a big shift for many of you entrepreneurial lawyers, I think.
Which is?
That move, you know, from the world of macOS, which so many are used to, over to the new Windows 11 ecosystem.
Ah, right. And specifically tailored for that very cutting-edge hardware.
Exactly. The Surface Pro 11, powered by that Snapdragon X Elite processor.
Okay, so this deep dive, it's really laser-focused, isn't it? It's, for you, the advisory lawyer, the corporate entrepreneurial type, making that specific leap.
Mm-hmm. Especially if you've got that higher spec machine. The Surface Pro 11, 12-core Snapdragon X Elite chip, 32 gigabytes of random access memory, that's RAM, and the big 1 terabyte solid-state drive, or SSD.
And the mission here, what's the goal?
Well, it's pretty straightforward. We want to empower you to really master this new combination, the hardware, the software.
It's not just about having the shiny new tech.
Not at all. It's about using it to transform your practice, making it more efficient, more accurate, hopefully more profitable. And a big piece of that, naturally, is leveraging artificial intelligence, AI.
Timing seems important here. Why now?
Well, this guidance is crucial right at the start during that initial setup phase. But we're also covering important updates from the last week or so, say the second week of June 2025.
Because things change so fast, especially with AI and regulation.
Weekly, sometimes daily. So we'll look at initial setup, migrating from macOS, tweaking essential Microsoft 365 apps, exploring key legal tech optimized for this ARM architecture.
And the big one, the deep dive into AI tools like Claude Opus 4 and Gemini 2.5 Pro.
Yep. And we'll navigate the evolving regulatory landscape too, focusing on Luxembourg and the European Union, the EU, all tailored for your new Surface Pro 11, wherever your practice takes you.
Okay, sounds like a packed agenda. How are we going to tackle all this?
Through practical steps, actionable insights, focusing on real-world legal workflows, from unboxing to becoming a master of this platform.
Perfect. Let's get started. Section 1, Foundation and Hardware. Setting up this new powerhouse.
Right. First things first, let's tune this Surface Pro 11 for legal work. Critical initial configuration for productivity, security, efficiency.
Okay, where do we begin? Privacy and security, always top of mind for lawyers.
Absolutely non-negotiable. You need to go straight into settings, then privacy and security. Pay really close attention to the application permissions.
Like camera, microphone access.
Exactly. Location, even things like your advertising ID. You want to disable anything non-essential right away. Limit that diagnostic data sharing with Microsoft too.
What about Microsoft account versus a local account? Any implications there?
There are. A Microsoft account offers more integrated features, but a local account might give you a feeling of more direct control over data, though you lose some sync capabilities. It's a trade-off. Good news is core security, like Secure Boot and Trusted Platform Module, or TPM 2.0, are on by default.
And virtualization-based security, VBS.
That's active too, protecting the core operating system. But the point is, being meticulous with these privacy settings from the moment you unbox it, that builds client trust.
Okay, privacy lockdown. What about focus? Notifications are the enemy of deep work.
They really are. So head to System Notifications, be ruthless, turn off alerts for apps that don't absolutely need to interrupt you.
And use Do Not Disturb.
Definitely. Win+N brings up the notification center where you can toggle it. Set priority notifications, so, important calendar reminders or Teams calls still pop up.
So an actionable step here. Actually schedule Do Not Disturb times in your calendar for focused work.
Great idea. Also explore focus sessions, which integrate things like the Pomodoro technique. It's about actively managing those pings.
Display scaling, that sounds important for staring at documents all day.
Crucial for comfort. That high-res screen is beautiful, but text can be tiny. Go to System Display Scale. Don't just accept the recommended.
What setting works best, usually?
You might find 125%, maybe even 150% is much easier on the eyes. Experiment. You can do custom scaling, but older apps might look a bit weird.
Got it. And quickly set up Windows, facial recognition, secure login, plus quick lock when you step away.
Essential habit. And speaking of speed, learn a few key Windows 11 shortcuts. Win plus L to lock your screen instantly. Vital.
Win plus V for clipboard history.
Oh yeah, a total lifesaver. Make sure it's enabled in settings first, though. Win plus Shift plus S for screenshots with Snip and Sketch.
Alt plus Tab for switching apps. Win plus Tab for task view and virtual desktops.
And the new one, Win plus C, that brings up Copilot as of that June 2025 update.
Now, Touch and Pen. The Surface Pro is known for this. How do we leverage it for legal work?
The Surface Pen isn't just a stylus. It's a productivity tool if you customize it. Go into Settings or the Surface app.
Customize the top button.
Exactly. Set a single click to open Whiteboard for quick diagrams, maybe a double click for Snip and Sketch to grab document excerpts, press and hold for sticky notes. Tailor it to your workflow.
That makes it much more useful. Actionable step. Configure that pen button.
And practice handwriting to text in OneNote. It works really well, and the screen ignores your palm. Also, get used to touch gestures, swipe from the right for notifications, left for widgets.
What about video calls?
Leverage Windows Studio effects, things like automatic framing, background blur, even eye contact correction. Adds a layer of professionalism.
Okay, let's shift to the chip itself, the Snapdragon X Elite. What's the real advantage, and what are the ARM realities we need to face?
Well, the advantage is performance and battery. 12 cores means smooth multitasking, and the battery life is genuinely impressive. Reports are suggesting up to 10 hours of real-world use.
Plus other perks.
Yeah, like always connected. If you opt for the cellular model, instant on responsiveness, consistent performance whether plugged in or on battery, and it runs cool and quiet. These are big deals for mobile professionals.
But the compatibility question looms large. ARM architecture.
It does. This is where you need to be realistic. Native ARM 64 apps, they run beautifully. Best performance, best efficiency.
Like Microsoft 365.
Exactly. Word, Excel, Outlook, OneNote, they're native. So are many big names like Chrome, Slack, Zoom, WhatsApp. ARM actually reports users spend over 90% of their time in native apps on these Windows on ARM PCs.
Okay, but what about everything else? Older apps, specialized software.
That's where emulation comes in. Windows 11 has this technology called Prism. It translates instructions, so most existing 32-bit, that's by 86, and 64-bit by 64 apps can run.
How well does it work?
It varies. Many traditional desktop apps run surprisingly well, but apps that are graphically intensive or use certain frameworks might lag. And sometimes older installers just won't work.
The biggest hurdle seems to be drivers.
Critical point. Drivers for hardware printers, scanners, specialized peripherals, and some system-level software like certain antivirus or virtualization tools must be specifically built for ARM.
So my old Office scanner might not work.
It's possible. You need drivers built into Windows or specifically released by the manufacturer for AIR. For example, the standard Windows scanning app might have issues. You might need an alternative like PDF Exchange. Check your specific peripherals before you depend on them.
So due diligence is key. Check compatibility beforehand. Is there a resource for that?
There are some community efforts like the website www.worksandwoa.com that try to track compatibility. It gives you an idea, but testing your specific critical apps is best.
The ecosystem is growing, but legal tech might lag.
That's often the case with niche software. It requires adaptation. You might need to find ARM native alternatives for optimal performance. You're effectively an early adopter in a maturing ecosystem.
Any recent news on the ARM front? Compatibility updates?
Well, that 90% native app usage stat from ARM is relevant. Google Drive recently exited beta for Qualcomm-based Windows, which is positive.
But potential issues too.
Yeah, we saw some user reports on Reddit just last week mentioning driver glitches on the Surface Pro 11 things like browser freezes or flickering. It just underlines the importance of keeping your drivers updated via Windows Update.
What are we anticipating looking ahead?
More native ARM 64 apps, definitely. And continued driver updates from Qualcomm and Microsoft to iron out stability and compatibility kinks. We also really need legal tech vendors to step up and provide clear statements on their ARM support plans.
Okay, hardware and compatibility covered. Let's talk about the actual move. Section 2. Seamless transition, especially for Mac users.
Right. Migrating from macOS and iOS and then managing your iPhone effectively in this new Windows environment.
Data migration sounds like the first headache. What's the least painful way?
Cloud services are usually the smoothest. If your stuff is in iCloud, OneDrive, Google Drive, Dropbox, just install the Windows clients, sign in, and let it sync. OneDrive is baked right into Windows 11.
What about local files or just wanting a physical backup?
An external hard drive is your friend. Format it as XFA that works on both Mac and Windows. just drag and drop. Apple's own migration assistant is Mac to Mac only, really. Third-party tools exist, but you have to be super careful vetting their security with client data.
Finding app equivalents. Microsoft 365 is the obvious swap for Apple's iWork suite.
And it's the industry standard and legal anyway. Outlook replaces Mail, configure your accounts. OneNote is a really powerful step up from Apple Notes for detailed case management.
The crucial bit, legal-specific software. Clio, time tracking, billing.
Absolutely critical. You must check if Windows versions exist and, importantly, how they perform on Windows on ARM. Even if they run via emulation, test the performance. Check the vendor's website or contact their support directly about ARM compatibility.
What about managing the iPhone connection? That seamless Apple integration is hard to give up.
Windows has tools, but they require setup. Microsoft Phone Link is the main one. You install the app on your Surface, and the link to Windows app on your iPhone connect via Bluetooth.
What does it let you do?
Make and receive calls from your PC, see notifications, send and receive texts.
But iMessage is limited, right?
Very limited. It's text only, no group chats, and it relies on the phone session. It's handy for quick replies, but it's not the full Mac iMessage experience.
How do I get my iCloud photos, files, calendars onto the Surface?
For that, you need the iCloud for Windows app from the Microsoft Store. Install it, sign in with your Apple ID.
What does it sync?
It can sync your iCloud photos, integrating with the Microsoft Photos app, give you access to iCloud Drive directly in File Explorer, and sync your iCloud calendars and contacts with the classic version of Outlook. It also helps manage iCloud passwords.
So, actionable steps. Install Phone Link on the Surface, link to Windows on the iPhone, pair them up. Then, grab iCloud for Windows from the store.
Yes. But always think about data governance. Using these tools means phone data interacts with your PC and cloud services in new ways. For highly sensitive client information, weigh the convenience against the potential data pathways. You might choose to limit syncing or phone link usage based on your firm's policies and ethical obligations.
Makes sense. Let's move to Section 3, Core Productivity. Optimizing Microsoft 365 and managing data sovereignty.
Right. Mastering these tools directly impacts your efficiency and compliance. Let's start with becoming an M365 power user for legal work.
Word first. Foundational for drafting. Beyond basic typing, what's key?
Styles and formatting. Master the styles feature. Define custom styles for headings, body text, citations that match court rules, or your firm's branding. Consistency is crucial.
Saves a ton of time fixing formatting later.
Huge time saver. Also, create legal templates for documents you use often contracts, motions, use placeholders, quick parts for standard clauses. Look into add-ins like Clio Draft, too, which can auto-populate data into intelligent templates.
What about navigating long documents? Briefs? Contracts?
Outline view and the navigation pane are invaluable. Learn to generate tables of contents and tables of authorities automatically using styles and marking citations. Track changes and compare documents are obviously indispensable for collaboration and review.
OneNote for case management. How do you structure it effectively?
Think hierarchical. A notebook per client or matter. Within that, sections for things like pleadings, correspondence, research, then pages for individual notes or documents. You can even group sections for complex cases.
And you can put almost anything in it.
Pretty much. Text, handwriting via the Surface Pen, images, screenshots, searchable PDF printouts, emails dragged from Outlook, web links, even audio recordings with consent, of course.
Key features for lawyers.
Tagging is huge. Use built-in tags like to do or create custom ones like key evidence for quick filtering. The search is incredibly powerful, finding text even inside images or PDFs, and it integrates with Outlook to link notes to meetings or tasks.
Okay, Excel. How does that fit into a law practice beyond, say, basic accounting?
Think firm metrics and analysis. Track billable hours per lawyer, client, matter. Manage case deadlines. Analyze profitability of different matter types. Build simple financial models.
So less complex financial engineering, more practical business intelligence.
Exactly. Start simple. Track your time and expenses per matter. Calculate basic profitability. Use charts to visualize trends, hours, revenue, case progression. There are even templates out there, like Lean Law's free financial report card, that can give you ideas for key performance indicators or KPIs.
Microsoft Whiteboard collaboration tool. Yeah. How does it compare to Apple's Freeform?
Its big advantage is being cross-platform Windows, iOS, Android web, and its deep integration with Microsoft Teams. Freeform is nice within the Apple ecosystem, but Whiteboard is better for collaborating with people on different devices or outside your firm.
What can lawyers use it for?
Brainstorming case strategies visually, creating timelines, mapping complex corporate structures, explaining concepts to clients during a video call.
Let's get into the AI Microsoft 365 Copilot. It's baked right in.
It is. It's an AI assistant integrated across Word, Outlook, Teams, and more. It can summarize long documents or email threads, help draft emails or document sections, find information within your M365 files.
Sounds powerful. What are the caveats?
The main one is accuracy and reliability. You absolutely, positively must meticulously review and verify anything Copilot generates before using it professionally, especially for legal accuracy, completeness, tone. It's an assistant, not a replacement for your judgment.
So use it for first drafts, summaries, idea generation, but the lawyer is still the final check.
Always. Features like Copilot tuning, where you can train it on your firm's specific data and templates, offer huge potential, but come with massive responsibility regarding data governance and confidentiality.
How do we manage the data itself securely? Cloud strategy.
Essential. OneDrive for Business and SharePoint, running on Microsoft's Azure cloud platform, provide a secure, compliant foundation.
OneDrive is like my personal cloud drive, but for work.
It's sort of, yes. It's secure storage integrated with File Explorer, Office apps, with features like encryption, version history, controlled sharing. SharePoint is more for team collaboration, setting up dedicated sites for matters, with document libraries, metadata, workflows.
And Azure provides the underlying security and compliance.
Right. Things like data residency, choosing where your data is stored geographically, which is critical for GDPR compliance. Azure holds numerous certifications documented in the Microsoft Trust Center.
Actionable step here. Use OneDrive for active files, consider SharePoint for collaborative matters, enable multi-factor authentication, MFA, on your account, and regularly review who has access to shared files.
Exactly. It's a shift to a cloud-first approach, enabling secure collaboration and simplifying compliance.
Okay, Section 4, this is the core, right? Enhanced tools and AI integration. Claude Opus 4 versus Gemini 2.5 Pro.
This is where we elevate things. First, let's talk practical AI use cases for you, the entrepreneurial lawyer.
Where can these LLMs actually help day to day?
Drafting a sentence is a big one. Initial drafts of clauses, emails, memos, generating arguments suggesting alternative contract language.
Legal research. You mentioned the hallucination risk.
Huge risk. They can help summarize case law or statutes, maybe identify potential precedents. But, and I can't stress this enough, all AI-generated legal info, especially citations, must be meticulously verified against primary authoritative sources. Treat AI research output as clues, not answers.
Okay, verification is key. What else?
Drafting client updates, explaining complex ideas simply, summarizing meeting notes, extracting action items, speeding up contract review, identifying clauses, flagging potential risks, comparing against standards, even helping with marketing copy or summarizing industry news.
How do we get the best results? Prompt engineering.
Quality in, quality out. Be clear and specific in your instructions. Define the format, length, tone, audience.
Context matter.
Hugely. Provide relevant facts, legal background. The more context, the better the response. Using examples helps too. Assigning a role, act as a Luxembourg corporate lawyer, focuses the AI.
And always ask for citations when dealing with legal points.
Always prompt for precise citations to the original source, and then you must check those citations. It's part of the verification process. An actionable step is to build a library of standard prompts for tasks you do often.
Now, the main event. Claude Opus 4 versus Gemini 2.5 Pro. How do they stack up for legal work?
The choice depends on the specific task, how much text you need to process, that's the context window, and frankly, cost.
Let's break down Claude first. From Anthropic.
Claude, particularly the newer Claude 4 Opus released May 2025, is known for strong reasoning, courting ability, and following instructions precisely. It has a 200,000 token context window, which is quite large, good for analyzing fairly long documents. Anthropic also really emphasizes AI safety and reliability.
Okay, and Google's Gemini, specifically 2.5 Pro.
Gemini's standout feature is its enormous context window, up to 2 million tokens for 2.5 Pro.
2 million, that's massive.
It really is. This makes it incredibly well suited for analyzing extremely large document sets, think discovery, due diligence projects involving thousands of pages. It also handles audio and video natively. Recent legal benchmarks, like Harvey's Big Law Bench, showed Gemini 2.5 Pro performing very well on legal reasoning tasks with long inputs.
What about cost differences?
Gemini 2.5 Pro generally seems to be more cost-effective per token than Claude 4 Opus. For input, Gemini might be around, say, €1.15 to €2.30 per million tokens, whereas Claude 4 Opus input could be significantly more, maybe 275 up to 1375 euros per million tokens. Output costs vary too. Google also announced Gemini 2.5 Flash in early June, which should be even cheaper for high-volume tasks.
So the recommendation depends on the use case.
Pretty much. For very large documents or data sets where that massive context window is needed, Gemini 2.5 Pro has a clear edge. For tasks demanding high precision, strict adherence to constraints, and where verifiable citations are paramount, Claude 4 Opus might be preferable given its reported strengths and Anthropic's safety focus. Cost is also a real factor, especially for routine tasks where the upcoming Gemini 2.5 Flash could be attractive.
So you might end up using both, depending on the job.
That's a very likely scenario. Different tools for different tasks, balancing capability, context needs, and budget.
The outline mentioned a table summary. Can you recap the key comparisons?
Sure. For massive document review, Gemini's context wins. For research summarization, both are good. Maybe Claude for precision constraints, Gemini for sheer volume. Drafting needs lawyer review for both. Communication brainstorming, they augment you. Cost generally favors Gemini. Voice simulation is possible with interfaces for both families.
Voice mode for training simulations. How does that work?
LLMs with voice interaction, like you find in ChatGPT+, Gemini Advanced, or Claude interfaces that support voice, can be great for practicing skills.
Likewise.
Simulating client interviews, practicing negotiation arguments with an AI opponent, prepping for witness questioning. The AI can adapt the scenario in real time. It makes learning more dynamic.
Actionable step. Try using voice mode. Practice explaining advice to a simulated AI client or negotiate with an AI opposing counsel. Record it, if appropriate and private, and review your own performance.
For those interested in building custom AI solutions, understanding the platforms and APIs is key. OpenAI's API, Google's AI Studio with Gemini, Anthropic's Claude API, Amazon Bedrock, which offers access to models like Claude, and Microsoft's Copilot Studio for customizing Copilot experiences.
Building your own tool sounds powerful, but risky.
It increases responsibility significantly. If your custom AI tool falls into a high-risk category under the EU AI Act, your firm could be considered the provider or deployer taking on major compliance duties. It demands deep technical understanding and rigorous regulatory diligence.
Perfect segue to regulation. The EU AI Act and Luxembourg's implementation.
Absolutely critical context. The EU AI Act, that's Regulation EU 2024/1689, is now officially in force since August 1st, 2024, but its rules apply gradually over the next couple of years.
It's risk-based. What does that mean for legal AI?
It means AI systems are categorized by risk. Some are banned outright. High-risk AI systems, which explicitly include AI used in the administration of justice, face strict rules, data governance, documentation, human oversight, accuracy, cybersecurity checks. Providers need conformity assessments and registration.
And lower risk.
Limited-risk AI, like chatbots, needs transparency. Users must know they're interacting with AI. Minimal-risk AI is largely unregulated.
I heard whispers about potential delays in applying these rules.
That was significant news just last week, around early June 2025. An EC executive vice president mentioned that if the necessary technical standards and guidelines aren't finalized in time, postponing the application of some parts of the act shouldn't be ruled out. It adds uncertainty.
How is Luxembourg implementing this?
Through a national draft law, number 8,476, introduced back in December 2024. It sets up a national framework and designates the authorities responsible for oversight. It's currently pending approval in Parliament, the Chambre des députés.
Which authorities are key for lawyers to know?
The CNPD, Luxembourg's Data Protection Authority, is designated for overseeing high-risk AI in areas like law enforcement. OLAS is the notifying authority. Then you have sector-specific market surveillance bodies like the CSSF for finance, the CAA for insurance, ILNES, ILR, ALIA for others. They have investigation and enforcement powers, including hefty fines up to 7.5 million euros or 1% of global annual turnover for providing misleading info.
So what should lawyers be doing now regarding AI use?
Update internal policies, AI usage guidelines, privacy policies, client consent forms. Be extremely cautious with client data and AI systems. Vet your vendor security and data handling practices thoroughly. Ensure compliance with GDPR if personal data is involved.
And the accuracy issue again.
paramount. Critical human oversight and verification by a qualified lawyer is absolutely essential for any AI-generated legal content. Never rely solely on AI. Also, comply with transparency rules, label AI interactions and synthetic content.
Actionable step for your practice right now.
Inventory your current and planned AI tools. Assess the risks. Draft an internal AI usage policy covering permissible uses, data handling, verification requirements, and keep a close eye on the progress of Draft Law 8476 via hhday.lu and watch for guidance from the CMPD and other relevant authorities. It's a challenging landscape. Rapidly evolving, powerful AI like Claude 4 and Gemini 2.5 Pro, alongside a complex phased regulatory framework like the AI Act, potentially facing delays, plus national implementation. It demands vigilance.
Okay, let's quickly touch on our weekly Tech Watch. Synthesizing news from the past week, roughly June 6th to 13th, 2025.
Right. On the AI model front, Anthropic highlighted their European focus alongside the recent Claude 4 release. Google's Gemini 2.5 Pro is in public preview on Vertex AI. 2.5 Flash was announced as coming soon, and benchmarks showed its strength in legal reasoning. We heard OpenAI uses AMD accelerators on Azure. Microsoft pushed Copilot updates like the Win+C shortcut, and Meta made a huge investment in Scale AI, signaling a focus on foundational models.
And on the regulatory side.
The big news was the European Commission VP suggesting potential delays for parts of the EU AI Act application if standards aren't ready. That creates uncertainty. In Luxembourg, Draft Law 8476, the national implementation, continues its journey through Parliament. No major movement reported last week, but it's a key piece for national oversight structures.
What are we anticipating next week or so?
We might see Google make Gemini 2.5 Flash generally available, more performance details or benchmarks on Claude Opus, continued rollout of Microsoft's Copilot features like tuning, and crucially, any further clarification from the EU on AI Act timelines and progress or guidance related to Luxembourg's Draft Law 8476.
This podcast contains content generated or significantly edited using artificial intelligence tools. All information is provided for general informational purposes only and reflects knowledge available at the time of publication. It does not constitute financial, investment, or legal advice. We recommend that listeners verify the information independently and consult with qualified professionals for personalized advice.
And something to think about. As you start using these incredibly powerful AI tools, Claude, Gemini, on your new ARM-based Surface Pro 11, you really are at the forefront. So how do you balance the undeniable benefits, the efficiency, the new capabilities with that core unchanging duty you have as a lawyer?
You mean ensuring accuracy, verifying everything, protecting confidentiality?
Exactly. Especially when the rules for AI are still being written, still solidifying, maybe even facing delays. Your judgment, your vigilance, well, they've never been more critical.
Legal tech mastery. Hit subscribe and like.